live streaming today's airshow on their plainstv.com subscription channel. Just 10 quid, you can watch the channel for a month, catch up on this show on fun days, and also hundreds of other airshows going back 34 years. If you maintain your subscription, you'll see new studio programs of the winter, even more from the archive. So if you want to, when you get home, watch this all over again on Plains TV, and give Plains TV a try for just £10 at plainstv.com. And of course, big hello from us moving on. The Swordfish. Lovely asset to have here at Duxford, and it was John Harmsworth and Philip Pettit who flew the Catalina today. But back up the biplanes. Not a formation we've seen before of the Swordfish and the Nimrod. Contemporaries from the first half of the 1930s. The Nimrod first flew in 1931, the Swordfish in 1934 in prototype form. Well, the Nimrod was long gone from frontline service by the time World War II broke out. The Swordfish, however, anything but fine.
Yes, it looks rather ancient by today's standards, doesn't it? But it was a very effective carrier aircraft.
9-cylinder Bristol Pegasus radial engine of 750 horsepower powers the Swordfish. I say powers it, it propels it to a cruise speed, yes, of just 90 knots when lightly laden, and when fitted with the underslung torpedo, just 82 knots.
It looks so vulnerable, doesn't it? Lumbering through the sky as it is now.
And of course the crew very exposed in the cockpit. They were operating in some extremely harsh climates. They had no heater. The fuselage is merely fabric covered. Of course it's an entirely open cockpit. They have hardly any weather protection up there. But what counted in the Swordfish's favour, apart from obviously the heroism of its crews from the Fleet Air Arm, was to some extent its slow speed, because it was very difficult for German naval guns to be trained on such a slow-moving target.
That's kind of counterintuitive, isn't it? You'd think it would be easy to shoot from the sky.
And very, very manoeuvrable at those slow speeds with an extremely small turning radius. We mentioned the attack on the Bismarck in which Catalinas were involved. It was Swordfish from HMS Ark Royal which put a torpedo through the Bismarck's steering gear and enabled the home fleet to deliver the coup de grace.
It was almost the last torpedo, wasn't it? It was the last shot of the action, almost.
But in mentioning the heroism of swordfish crews, you of course cannot ignore one of the less successful exploits, the Channel Dash. 6 swordfish attempted to stop the German ships, the Prinz Eugen, the Scharnhorst and the Gneisenau in February 1942 from going up the English Channel from Brest to their home port at Wilhelmshaven. Those ships were incredibly heavily defended. All 6 of the swordfish were shot down, but they nonetheless pressed home their attacks against incredibly heavy fire, and Lieutenant Commander Eugene Esmond, the commanding officer of the swordfish involved, was a posthumous recipient of the Victoria Cross. Protection of the Atlantic and Arctic convoys, such a strong role for the swordfish, often flying off MAC ships, merchant aircraft carriers, which were oilers or grain ships, which would have a flat deck welded on top of the hull, a very small flight deck, from the like of which it had never been intended that swordfish would ever operate, yet they did so, and they did so superbly.
And with limited instrumentation. Today we've got obviously GPS and all that kind of stuff. We're going to be flying these aircraft in terrible conditions in the Atlantic,
Final time above,
with a jaunty waggle of the wings.
During World War II, swordfish managed to sink 21 enemy submarines, most of them on the North Russian Arctic convoy support missions, and of all Allied aircraft types, aircraft such as these, as you say, apparently lumbering and flimsy biplanes, sank the highest tonnage of enemy shipping.
Is that so?
This is one of the many swordfish built by Blackburn aircraft at Sherburn-in-Elmet, and having spent many years with the Royal Navy Historic Flight, it's now part of the civilian organisation Navy Wings.